Gentani, and welcome to another Godfather Minute. I'm Alex Robinson.
I'm Andy Robinson.
And together we're the Godfather Minute Brothers, here to talk about minute 167.
Alex, repeat after me. E minuto. Numero. 167.
167?
That's it. You got it.
167.
You got it.
That means 167 in American. We are talking about that minute. It's the trial of Carlo Rizzi, part 2.
Clean it up. What would be the courtroom version of that?
I object.
Well, I object. But he can't object. He's on trial.
So the trial of Carlo Rizzi, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Ching. Mikey tells Carlo not to be afraid, that he wouldn't make his sister a widow, would he?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of silence in this minute.
Rather, he is to have Carlo is going to be exiled to Las Vegas and kicked out of the family business. But don't tell him you're innocent.
It'd be great since we're in the mindset of a trial.
Yeah,
it'd be great if Michael Corleone was the prosecutor. Carlo's on the witness stand, and that's all Michael keeps telling him. Just don't tell me you're innocent. Isn't it true you schemed with Barzini and Tatalia? You fingered Barzini. I object.
You stole frizzy lifting drink. I was watching this scene and it occurred to me in a weird way that made me this scene is like a weird echo of the very opening of the very opening of the movie.
What do you mean?
Well, because if you recall, the very first scene in the movie, it's Bonacera telling us about how much he loves America, and then we see we see Tom Hagen off camera bring him a drink and hand him the drink off camera, and he's talking to the Godfather about stuff.
Yeah.
And so now, and it's at Carlo's wedding, but now here we are, and other than Tom Hagen giving the drink, all the roles have been changed. Now, Michael is the Godfather now. Carlo, rather than being the subject of the wedding, is now going to be the subject of the funeral.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just thought it was a weird kind of like nice, especially since this is the last real scene of like, you know, I guess it's the epilogue after this of, you know, there's your husband, but this is like the nice, I don't know, I just thought that was a cool, like, parallel.
Yeah, that's great.
The handing the drink from off screen is what made me think that, like, Tom's still dealing the drinks.
Yeah.
If someone said to you, get him a drink,
yeah, what
drink would you make the person?
Oh, I'm Tom Hagen.
Yeah, if you're Tom Hagen and Al says, get him a drink.
Well, something strong.
I assume alcoholic. Not like you wouldn't get him like a soft drink. Like
I'd get him some Kool-Aid. Yeah, I think.
Hey, Kool-Aid. Breaks through the
wall. Oh, Mikey, you got me Kool-Aid. It's like all the kids run in. Tom Hagen has to shuffle the kids away like he did when Luca Brasi was talking to Don Vito. Yeah, probably whiskey or bourbon.
Just straight up?
Something, yeah, straight up. Yeah, he needs a drink. That's a strong drink.
So you wouldn't do like a mixer? You wouldn't do like a screwdriver or a rum and coke?
No, I think straight up. Yeah, he needs a drink.
It'd be great if you give him a drink and he came with like a pina colada with like all, you know, flowers and fancy straws and stuff.
Like all fruit hanging out of it. Mike, or Tom, I said get him a drink. Maybe a banana daiquiri. Carlo, you want a banana daiquiri?
How do I order that?
And I'll have my own banana daiquiri, Al.
So, yeah.
In general.
Yes.
Not in this particular scene necessarily, but if you had to choose in general, would you prefer to be the one that Mikey asks to prepare the drink for someone else, or to be the person who's getting the drink served to him.
Oh, clearly the drink mixer.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I mean, Buonasera gets some justice in the very beginning.
I know, but he has to like go through the hoops first. It's not like he's
Johnny Fontaine gets a drink served to him by Don Vito after he's done singing. Remember, he's like, you want some wine? Get him a drink.
Have a drink. You look terrible. I want you to eat something.
I mean, it's kind of a sign of caring. Get him a drink.
Wait, so you're saying...
And Sonny says to Paulie when he's sick, he's like, oh, you want something to drink? You want something to eat? Remember? Although we know what that meant in the end. I think you're right. I take it back. You're right, Alex.
It's probably should actually... Are there any examples of someone being served a drink and not being killed?
Oh, yeah, because Luca Brasi. That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I guess Buonasera doesn't get killed, but...
Yeah, the Italian restaurant scene. They order wine.
Yeah.
Those schmucks get it.
We see Frank Pantangeli spill his drink.
Yeah.
Before he ultimately
he ends up having to drink from the water hose. He's so superstitious. He doesn't want anyone to serve him a drink because he knows it's bad luck.
That's why he knocked it over, because he's trying to push it away from him. He's like, get that drink away from me.
Cent'anni. What does that mean? 100 years. 100 years till I'm served the next drink. If Pop was still alive.
Hey, here's a theoretical question. It's not very specific to this minute, but it occurred to me watching. Well, here's what I thought. Here's what first thing. Okay, in chronological order. Let me catch my breath and start over. We see in this minute, Mikey says to Carlo, "You're kicked out of the family business. That's your punishment."
Yeah,
and I think that's somewhat ironic because Mikey's punishment is that he is in the family business. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, in the beginning of the movie, Mikey wanted nothing to do with his family. Mm-hmm. So if he were to be kicked out of the family business, that would have saved him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If when he tried to do the thing, Tom Hagen said, "No, we don't want you doing this." You know,
you're kicked out. That's your punishment.
You're out of the family.
Yeah.
Then that was so it's weird.
I would have been great. You're sending me to Vegas with my wife. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's kind of a sad irony that Mikey is kind of doing that as a punishment. But along those lines, and here's what I was going to get at. Did Mikey make the right choice to join his family? And what would have happened had he refused?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. If he had refused, he would not have been asked again.
Yeah.
We know that, right? Mm-hmm. How do we know that?
Because the Don doesn't like to turn. Well, but that's Don Corleone doesn't like to ask a second time.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean necessarily that another family member might not have said, "Mikey, could you come in?" And
yeah. But
they probably wouldn't have, because no one knew he was a conniving, like, genius at it. So they wouldn't have thought to bring him in.
Yeah, yeah. Pop always saw it, I guess.
So what do you think would have happened? Let's suppose everything else happens as we see in the movie, like up until that point.
And he had just refused?
Yeah.
So he still had killed the Turk and McCluskey.
Well, that's where we can start coming in with different scenarios. So the Don gets shot. The Don's hospitalized. Sonny is leading the family. And so that's one point where you could say, okay, so if Mikey had just said, "Okay, I'm going," he actually wouldn't have a broken jaw at that point.
Yeah,
exactly. Oh no, he would have, because that's when McCluskey beat him up.
Yeah,
and so he would have still.
Yeah, he still would have gone to see Pop.
Yeah, and he would have been like,
so let's think it through. He would have become a math professor. Mm-hmm. That's what he was in the book. At least that's what he imagined doing. And he and Kay would have gotten married and lived probably an average American life, right? And then with the family, Sonny would have been the Don.
Then would have gotten killed.
Still would have gotten killed because it had nothing to do with Mikey. Mikey may have been called back just to be around the family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm assuming he would have gone to...
But he wouldn't have gotten involved. I think Sonny would have probably listened to... is Sonny dead yet?
Well, if we're assuming that Sonny takes over the family...
Sonny would have taken the deal. I think Tom Hagen would have convinced him. If the old man dies, you take the deal, Sonny.
No, but the old man didn't die.
Yeah.
So let's assume that Sonny still would have gotten killed, because that Mikey had nothing to do with that aspect of the story. They still would have gone to war, presumably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Santino dies.
So Fredo takes over?
No, I think at that point the family is so weak. I think maybe the couple regimes, the captains step up.
Or do they make a? Or is that at this point
They
is
make a
Tessio
deal.
making a deal with Barzini and being like the Corleones are a sinking ship.
Yeah.
It's better to get out now while the boys
Yeah,
still got the
that's
muscle.
probably right. Yeah, because the political protection's already run for cover. They're not very strong.
So, but it seems
Yeah.
like ultimately that would have been a happier ending. Because Mikey's out. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously Santino's dead no matter what. But Fredo theoretically would still be alive, would not have betrayed the family, would just be, working in Las Vegas or something, running a Mickey Mouse nightclub.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I think you're right.
I guess Carlo might still be alive.
He would have lived because they wouldn't have caught up with him.
Although I wonder if the Don had then presumably the Don would have recovered and then would he have tried to I guess he would have just kept running the family until he died.
Yeah. I think that's what would
He
happen.
wouldn't have semi-retired. So theoretically he might have died earlier because he would have been under more stress of especially trying to run the family when they were on the ropes.
Yeah, although he would have been more cautious because he wasn't he wouldn't be semi-retired. He'd be much more cautious.
But he was getting soft.
Yeah, but so for example, I don't think he would have played with Anthony in the garden and Anthony would not have been allowed to have that insecticide sprayer.
That's probably
Or
true.
would have been checked out at least, tested for poisons.
Yeah. If at the very least there would have been acts of vengeance against Anthony for
Anthony was originally the one in the scene instead of Carlo. Anthony, just don't tell me anything. Who was it? Barzini or Tatalia? No. He gets him to confess by doing the orange mouth monster. He's like, hold on a second.
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna bring back my friend, and he's not quite as nice as I am. He just turns around, puts the oranges in there.
It's really funny. That's how Mikey gets everyone to confess. That's how he gets Carlo to confess. That's why Carlo starts crying, because he knows Mikey's next move is to bring out his old friend, the orange mouth monster.
Don't make me put the orange peel in my mouth.
That's why he confesses. All right, you got anything else? I do have some stuff from the book, Alex.
Yes. Here's one other thing about the movie specifically. I really like that when Mikey is doing this whole speech, like he's almost completely in shadows. Basically, just one side of his face is all. It's almost like the evil has totally consumed the old Michael Corleone, and now he's just like the little like the way that Vito Corleone was looking out the window at the wedding. And you just saw his eyes looking out through the blinds. That's what Mikey is in his own evil.
Yeah.
So, and that hat.
Yeah, it's a great scene. It feels very claustrophobic. It's dark. It's closed in. Mikey's leaning into Carlo. Carlo is boxed in. He's in a jar.
Yeah. He's a jar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Great filming. Great lighting. Great dialogue.
And the last note I had was that, like Anakin Skywalker, Mikey condemns himself by trying to do the right thing for his family.
What do you mean by that?
Well, because in the Star Wars saga, Anakin Skywalker doesn't want his wife to die in childbirth. He keeps having dreams that his wife is going to die. So he basically makes this deal to try to protect her, and then that's what gets him into all the trouble. So it's the same way that Mikey's like, well, I'm going to protect my family. I'm going to do this thing. So.
Yeah. But that takes him down that path. Yeah. Classic storyline.
Yes. But it works better in The Godfather.
Why?
Well, because I think The Godfather is a movie for grown-ups, so people behave kind of more the way people do in real life, whereas in Star Wars, because they're children's movies, like
don't say that.
I just think the writing it's a bit more like simple-minded compared to the relative subtlety of It's the same story, just one is told as like a fairy tale, and this one is told like like an opera. You know what I mean? It's just a different style, and it's more suited. I think it's I guess the acting and the writing, a lot of different reasons. So
Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All right, I have a tiny little chunk from the book. Most of this minute is not talking. It's Michael just waiting, Carlo crying.
It's the silences.
It is, yeah. So Puzo writes, page 432. There was still no answer. Michael's waiting for the answer from Carlo.
I know there's an answer.
Michael said almost kindly, "Don't be so frightened. Do you think I'd make my sister a widow? Do you think I'd make my nephew fatherless?" He starts going through all the relations.
All the permutations.
Do you think I'd make my nephew cousinless? Do you think I'd make my grandchild with one fewer uncle? Do you think I'd let...
Would I make my mother have one fewer son-in-laws? Sons-in-law, excuse me?
Do you think I'd remove my second cousin twice removed another time? That's why Carlo's crying. Mike, I swear, I can't understand you. I don't know what you're even accusing me of, but I didn't do it.
Look at this family tree.
Yeah, Tom, get him a drink and show him the family tree. According to this branch, you are the capo regime of the Cosa Nostra. We have an affidavit here. He starts building a RICO case against Carlo Rizzi.
Carlo Ricci.
Puzo writes, after all, I'm godfather to one of your kids. No, sorry. What I meant to say before we even started this.
Wait, I thought that was Mikey saying that.
No.
Hold on a second.
No. That wasn't my Michael Corleone impression. And I'm not being Cheech now. So in the movie, every single time I watch the scene in the movie, I think I never really understood what Michael was saying about Carlo's next step. He said, no, your punishment is you're out of the family business or something like that. I'm not reading from the book right now. I'm starting with the movie.
Okay.
And he
Puzo
says,
writes.
No, I'm not reading from the book.
Okay.
He says, you're out of the business. You're going to go out to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
But isn't that where they're moving their operations? That always seemed counter to me. If he was out, he'd say like, you're going to Florida, or I don't care where you go, you're not going to be anywhere near our business. It seemed very contradictory. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, totally. It does seem like a bit, like I can understand he could mean go to Las Vegas and, you'll like for now, but you're just going to get a regular job at at a store or something,
But in the movie, it doesn't say any of that.
Oh, I know.
It just says you're out. We're sending you to Vegas. That seems like so
weird. It is somewhat muddying the intent. The fact that we know that they're heading out to Las Vegas and that they're sending him to Las Vegas. It does seem it is a weird element.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah. So it never sat right with me.
You'll go out to Las Vegas. You'll start working. You're going to start running a candy store, and then eventually, we're out of the family business.
Out of the family business. You're just going to be selling cotton candy, and he does air quotes, cotton candy. Like, Mikey, am I in the business? What does that mean? No, you're out of the business.
He's like winking at him.
You're out of the business, but you're going to be working with Tom Hagen on some unrelated business. So the reason I brought that up is because in the book, Puzo clarifies it.
Oh.
And this is one example. I think the book is a little stronger, Alex.
He meant North Las Vegas.
No, he meant Las Vegas, Arizona. Puzo writes, no, your punishment will be that you won't be allowed any work with the family. I'm putting you on a plane to Vegas to join your wife and kids, and then I want you to stay there. I'll send Connie an allowance. That's all.
Okay.
Pause. So it's not that much better, but at least he clarifies. He said, Connie's just going to get an allowance.
Well, I guess for the sake of the family, I mean, obviously this is all a lie anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
He's like, we're going to send you all expense paid to Puerto Rico. Just tell me who approached you.
But I guess in theory, I'm sure that they want, for Mama's sake, they would want the grandchildren around. Mm-hmm. So they don't want Connie and Carlo moving to Miami or something.
Yeah.
So
that is a better way to keep Carlo calm and get him to admit it.
Yeah, you want as a cool, calm Carlo.
Yeah. That's all, but don't keep saying you're innocent. Don't insult my intelligence and make me angry. I forgot to read this other part. This was really interesting. So right when Mikey says, tell me who approached you, Puzo writes, Hagen and Lamponi stared at Michael with astonishment. They were thinking that Michael was not yet the man his father was. Why try to get this traitor to admit guilt? That guilt was already proven as much as such a thing could be proven. The answer was obvious. Michael was still not that confident of his right, still feared being unjust, still worried about that fraction of an uncertainty that only a confession by Carlo Rizzi could erase. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because we don't get that in the movie. In the movie, we as viewers are assured that Michael is totally in control, is not being questioned. He runs things. After what he just orchestrated, he's the man. But in the book, they make it clear that Hagen and Rocco Lamponi are wondering, why is he even bothering? Why doesn't he just have this guy killed? He's clearly a traitor. But Michael still has doubts that he's a traitor. And Michael, not only that does he have doubts, but Michael's still worried of being unjust.
Well, the very fact that they have the scene almost implies that. Because he didn't do that with Tessio. He didn't go to Tessio and say, you have to convince me.
Yeah.
So I guess the fact that he did feel like he had to do that with his family member.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
that way, if it ever came back to him also, if Connie ever found out, he could say, oh, he confessed to me that he had Santino killed.
Yeah.
I could show in a court of law.
Connie, legally.
Yeah.
If I accept this, that means that.
It's just interesting that Lamponi and Hagen are both saying that, or noting that Michael is not yet the man that Don Vito was.
Well, especially because I can understand Tom Hagen because he worked closely with the Don for many years. In fact, he was his only. I would go so far as to say he was his only client.
Yeah.
But Rocco Lampone just became a made guy he was just chauffeuring Mike around to New England a couple of scenes ago.
Yeah.
You got no right to criticize.
Yeah. Okay.
You talk about me and my father.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, and then it's interesting that Hagen and Lampone believe, according to this excerpt,
if it's to be believed,
that Don Vito would not have vetted this whole but confirmed with Carlo that he did it, that Don Vito would have just killed him. Do you think that's true?
Well, he didn't. I mean, Don Carlo Vito could have had him killed, but didn't.
But do you think if Don Vito were still alive, and now that Cuneo and Baccini, all these guys are dead, do you think Don Vito? We talked about this last minute. Would the Don have had Carlo killed? And I think you and I both agreed yes, because he was complicit in Santino's death.
Right.
But do you think Don Vito would have done what Michael is doing, confronting Carlo to confirm that yes, to get him to
he's
confess?
Family?
For whatever reason, because he had doubts or because he's family.
I also feel like one way I interpreted this scene also is a matter of ego.
Talk to me about that.
That's all I have to say about it. No, Mikey, basically from Mikey's perspective, Carlo did this horrible thing, and Carlo is like, I got away with it. I fooled the Corleones.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Mikey wants Carlo to know that he knows that he did it.
Yeah,
He doesn't just want him to go to his. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. He's just going to be dead in a few minutes anyway.
Yeah.
But it's almost like for Michael's own ego, he has to explain. He has to do what supervillains do, which is to want to be validated and here's my plan all along was to do this and So maybe there's some aspect of that. So would the Don also have felt the same way? Would he have felt the need to to
that's a great question. Wow.
rub his face in it by making
Yeah.
him confess, sort of.
And you don't see that from Don Vito in the movie.
No. Yeah, again, luckily,
Yeah.
most of the potentially things that might make us not like Don Corleone, we don't get to see any of that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah, Mike probably does. Oh, well, according to Puzo, Mike still has some doubts.
yeah,
And so he wants to confirm that.
but yeah, you're right. The movie version does not seem to. He seems to be more all in.
Yeah, and therefore the movie version seems to confirm your latest idea, which is that it's partly driven by ego that he's confronting Carlo.
Yeah,
And that's why he's listing all these names. Like, hey, we killed them all.
yeah,
Like, yeah, you may have helped kill Santino, but we even got Stracci.
yeah.
And he's the hard one to get to. Mo Green, yeah.
Yeah. Manucci. We didn't do it near school.
Yeah.
So we want to rate this minute?
Yeah, let's rate it. So he gets him a drink, right?
Yeah.
And then he
Gets him a drink, tells him he's exiled from the family business.
hands him the ticket to Las Vegas. I love the physical evidence that we're not going to kill you. Do you remember he hands him the ticket?
Yeah.
Old school ticket with all the typed numbers and codes on it. Like, look, we're flying you to Las Vegas, so you might as well just tell us. What are we going to put a bomb on that plane and kill civilians? After all, we're not terrorists.
We would have wasted $50 on an airline ticket.
Wow, $50.
I wonder how much it was back then.
It's probably $50 now, where this is being recorded during a pandemic.
A global
Early
pandemic.
21st century pandemic when airline flights are very cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going
So, okay, I'm going to rate it. I'm ready.
okay.
1, 2, 3,
4.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably like 3.5, but I'll err on the side of I like the fact that it's a tense scene.
Yeah, it's very good.
So
So what do we have coming up at the bonus content, Alex?
Well, we got our usual rounds of features. We got we do Garbage Pail Kids. We pick a character, give their horoscope. All sorts of fun.
Yeah.
Everything from horoscopes to Garbage Pail Kids.
They meet historical figures.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And I'm thinking because there's a drink involved, they may meet one of a number of famous licensed mixologists. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good
makers of firewater.
Maybe they'll be Harvey Wallbanger himself.
Yes. Or one of the British beef eaters.
So until next time.
Just don't tell me you're...
Did we do that one last time?
We did, yeah. Okay. I got it.
Okay.
So until next time, do you think I would make my sister a widow?